Mason Rudolph left and James Washington celebrate another TD. Pittsburgh dreams of a defensive draft got caught up in an Oklahoma-style twister as the Steelers turned to offense on day 2 of the 2018 draft. The Oklahoma State passing combo of Mason Rudolph and James Washington became a Steelers duo, and one day after the Edmonds brothers made NFL history, Rudolph wondered if he and his brother made history, too. To go on the next level, Rudolph said, the next chapter with one of your brothers, with your best receiver that you've spent your whole college days with, who you can potentially spend another 15 years with, that's going to be one heck of a ride and I can't wait to get it going. Washington 5'11", 213 was the Steelers' second-round pick. The deep threat who set an OSU record with 4,472 receiving yards and more touchdown catches, 39, than any other active college football player, apparently slipped from a perch upon which his former coach, Mike Gundy, believes rests a Hall of Fame career. Washington fell into the late portion of the second round, and the tumble likely occurred because he measured under 6 feet and ran 4.5440 at the NFL Combine. His former coach feels strongly about his former star receiver and defends him staunchly and once told a TV analyst that Washington will end up in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's something I hang my hat on, and that's something I'm always going to work toward, Washington said. Rudolph was taken with the Steelers' next pick, the third-rounder acquired from the Oakland Raiders for Martavis Bryant. A 6'4" 5/8", 235-pounder, Rudolph is only 1/4 of an inch shorter and 6 pounds lighter than Ben Roethlisberger when he came out of Miami, Ohio in 2004. 14 years later, Roethlisberger is 36 and hoping to play at least 3 more years. I'm hopeful that Ben would commit and maybe play 4, 5 or 6 more years, said Fichtner, who also admitted of his packed quarterback's room. I know you can't keep 4. With their second pick of the third round, and final pick of day 2, the Steelers paid heed to their board, and selected defensive tackle Chukwuma Okorafor, a 6'6", 320-pounder with long 34.5-inch arms. Okorafor was born in Nigeria, grew up in Southfield, Michigan, began playing football as a junior in high school, and learned to play so well that he started 39 games in threes at Western Michigan, where he became a first-team MAC left tackle. One draft analyst, Kyle Krabs, ranked Okorafor the 12th best overall player in the draft. Unique blend of size, nimble feet and athleticism at the OT position, wrote Krabs, the proprietor of NDT Scouting. Offensive line coach Mike Munchak would get into where Okorafor stood in the Steelers' rankings, but admitted I didn't think he'd be sitting here today. The story of the day, though, was the acquisition of the heart and soul of the record-setting OSU offense, an offense Pittsburgh fans should know well. In the last twos, OSU scored 108 points against Pitt behind Rudolph's 1,087 yards passing and Washington's 420 yards receiving. Last, with Steelers general manager Kevin Colbert scouting the game, OSU raced to a 49-7 halftime lead on the strength of Rudolph's 5 touchdown passes. It was a great day, Rudolph said of the 59-21 OSU win at Heinz Field. It's obviously an unbelievable venue. I just remember the night before going through walkthroughs and just looking up and thinking that, not necessarily this could ever be my home, but it was the first NFL stadium we played in, so it was an unbelievable field, unbelievable venue, atmosphere, and game day was great, too. Rudolph was born and raised in Rock Hill, South Carolina, a town that was dubbed Football City, USA by the Sporting News back in 2013. I wanted to continue the streak in first-round picks here, Rudolph said. Obviously that didn't happen, but I grew up in this town and knowing what it's produced, I'm just proud to be another statistic and try to represent the best way I can. Washington was last year's Biletnikoff Award winner as the best receiver in college football. He grew up on a farm in Stamford, Texas, some 215 miles west of Dallas. He led tiny Stamford High School to back-to-back state titles, and also won state titles in the 200 meters and triple jump. Washington also played tennis, he said, to improve his agility. After football, Washington hopes to do a little ranching with the cattle and the horns. He graduated OSU with a degree in agricultural business. My dad is a big farmer, so I kind of grew up around him and wanted to follow in his footsteps, Washington said. I'm just kind of like the workhorse. You know, my dad is the guy that just drives, and if anything needs to be heavy lifted or anything needs worked on, then I'm the guy. The young farmer can play a bit. In 4 years at OSU he caught 226 passes at 19.8 yards per catch. He had 3 1,000 yards, all with Rudolph at quarterback. Martavis Bryant could run, that's well documented, Fichtner said when asked about the comings and goings of Steelers receiving threats. That's what this guy can do, too. He's powerful, runs through arm bars. He has just a knack for getting down the yard. What I see here are longs of 88, 75, 91 and 86. Does Washington play faster than his 4.54 40 time the time isn't what it is, Fichtner said. We've had fast guys in the past and could count how many times they've gotten open deep. There's a lot of ways to do that, one by strength, one by technique and one by willingness and conditioning. He's that kind of guy, and you can't deny what he's done in college. Fichtner added, you have to be able to put the word receive into receiver. This is a guy that catches the football. When you're talking about playing AFC North football, and the weather and the wind and the environment you're going to play in, this is a tough, big, strong, hands catcher and a guy who is going to actually fight for the ball and secure it. Those are things that you value. Fichtner showed up in the media room 16 picks later to discuss Rudolph, his new quarterback, and why, considering his size, mobility, and accomplishments, he wasn't a first-round pick. He could have been, Fichtner said. Beauty is always in the eye of the beholder, and you know that some systems might fit better for certain people. I've liked him since the beginning, since we started evaluating him. I think that maybe if there's any negative to his game, it might just be the ability to escape and extend, but boy, you sure see him do it a lot. He gets outside the pocket and makes big plays down the field, so it's not like he can't do it. The ability to stand in and make big plays on third down, be effective in situational football, the way he's been, is very exciting. Rudolph, of course, took the fall to the middle of the third round as a slight. It'll stick with me every minute of every hour from here going forward until the day I die, Rudolph said. But yeah, it's definitely like a burning fire. It began Thursday night and it will keep going, like I said, for a long time. I definitely think him a great quarterback. I'm a little done with the comparison questions, but I definitely am confident in where I stacked up, and felt that, for whatever reason, I fell. God had a plan. I'm in a good situation now, and that's the biggest thing. That's what I'm taking away from it. Rudolph's in a division with his former rival at Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield, who was picked first in the draft by the Cleveland Browns. I knew it as soon as I got selected, Rudolph said of the continuing rivalry. I can't wait. It'll be fun. Whenever my time comes to play those guys twice a year, it'll be a joy. Chuck Zokoroff, formerly of Western Michigan.